Have you ever noticed that there are certain people who love to talk about their right to free speech and saying whatever they want, but always have a problem with other people saying things that they don't like? Because today's video is going to be about someone who's exactly like that. And before I do go into it, I need to give a quick content warning. The person I'm talking about very openly uses slurs and is not a nice person, so you'll be seeing some very bad words on the screen today, which I apologize for in advance. Because today we're talking about an individual known as Melanie Mack, who is a YouTuber, streamer, so on, who's been in the space since like the early 2010s. So she's been doing this for over a decade now. And it's only recently actually that she started to stir up some controversy over her beliefs, let's say. And I'm going to be telling you all about the reasons why she finally ended up blocking me on Xitter. So for those of you who don't know who Melanie is, she was a YouTuber who did content about games and anime and such. In fact, I used to watch her videos on the regular when she did post them, although her content has taken a very hard shift to the very far right recently. She's most well known these days for posting on Xitter with shits like this, which probably doesn't surprise most of you guys, considering that Xitter is full of people like this. But I think what might actually surprise some of you is that she wasn't always like that. Like, this was less than 4 years ago. And it's within that small period of time that she's made that 180 from posting like this to posting like this. So what made her go from being a reasonable person to an absolute batshit crazy person on the internet? Because this one's from 2018, so you can see she has been sort of not absolutely crazy, yelling slurs over and over for attention for a good long while. Because like I said, she started creating content in 2010. And you know what, I'll tell you about my personal experiences with Melanie across social media and how that ended up. So a large part of her justification for yelling slurs like this, just on public, on main, all the time, she boils it down to her being a Christian and it's against her Christian way of life, so she's allowed to be hateful towards people she doesn't agree with, and their lifestyle is essentially how she sort of rationalizes it to herself. And it's that kind of deluded Christianity where people will do the most horrible fucking hateful things and then still somehow rationalize to themselves that they are the good person who's going to get into heaven and everyone else is wrong. And I'm no expert in Christianity, but I'm pretty sure that's not very love thy neighbor of her, is it? In fact, it really doesn't take long to find multiple quotes from the Bible saying, hey, don't be hateful to other people or speak ill of them, which I'm guessing is probably not in her copy of the Bible for some reason, right? Or maybe you just never read the damn thing, which is strange because she has an entire YouTube channel about reading the Bible. So did she just skip over those chapters? Because it must be fucking awkward reading those chapters after you've been spouting hate all day on social media, right? Like, she's not even pretending that she doesn't know what she's saying is hateful. She openly identifies as a bigot. So I'm guessing this is a classic case of Christians choosing to pick and choose what they want to believe and what they want to ignore from the Bible. Whatever suits them best, I guess. She's not being very subtle about being a hater, is she now? And while most of her ire seems to be against LGBT people, she does also occasionally take shots at people of color too. So you know what? It's just all-round bigotry. She's an equal opportunity bigot. Like most far-right grifters who are trying to get clicks on the internet using rage bait, most of her hate is towards LGBT and specifically transgender people because they're the most popular talking point at the moment. So she posts unhinged stuff like this like all the time, usually just to get a reaction out of people. Because let's not pretend that all of that does not apply to most of her viewership as well. Like the right-wing grift that she's currently pandering to, I think is incredibly obvious because she's making the exact same mistakes as every other right-wing grifter that hates anything they think is woke, and then finding out something that they've enjoyed for over a decade that has been out for years is what they would define as woke, and suddenly they hate it now and then just complain about it constantly because they like to farm outrage for views. And obviously the best way to deal with that is to make fun of it whenever you see it, like I tend to do best. In fact, she has another channel where she complains about everything that she thinks is woke just constantly. It's an almost embarrassing amount actually. She's done multiple videos on the whole Sweet Baby Inc. controversy. In fact, she apparently got banned on Twitch for hate speech. And she's got a video of the guy who set himself on fire in protest of the conflict in the Middle East, essentially making fun of the guy, which is an incredibly shitty thing to do. In fact, I can't wait to see what a Bible verse uses to justify that kind of hate. Someone that committed suicide. But of course, she has zero self-awareness about any of this because she loves complaining about cancel culture despite having an entire YouTube channel where she's canceling things that she does not like. Because it's okay for her to do it, but not for anyone else, right? Now, I have tried to have, on multiple occasions, genuine conversations with her about topics like women in gaming, right? Because I want to see more gender equality, and I like using my platform to advocate for that sort of thing. And even when she's putting out pick-me takes like this, I try and give the benefit of the doubt and at least genuinely have a conversation about the topic. So I brought up the topic about how in the esports scene, a lot of women in the esports scene have been subject to abusive behavior from the male-dominated space. And I even linked a source detailing the level of abuse that some have reported back on, just to back up my point. point, right? But instead, she sort of responds with a sort of non-answer and then came up with a fact that she made up on the spot about apparently men getting harassed more without any evidence at all. She just threw it out there without providing any link or articles like I did. So naturally, people are asking about sources where she got this information from, because it's a bold statement to say that, you know, she has evidence that men have been getting harassed but more than women do. And for some reason, using that to justify ignoring when women get abused apparently is what she wants. And she really didn't want to answer where she got the information from, so I did what I did best and answered for her. Because this is usually the case when you argue with someone who has far-right brain rot and just throws out information they made up on the spot because they don't like the information that you've shown them and they can't disagree with facts, so they just make their own up, which is a common trend you'll see if you ever try and talk to any of these people. So save yourself some effort and just don't bother. And if you can remember that one time Amaranth broke down on stream, started crying because of her domestic situation, this is what Melanie responded to me on that day immediately, because she's playing the whole pick me game really hard. And essentially she doesn't see anyone else as another person, she just sees them as ways to make content at this point. So that's all she was using Amaranth for right there, is to make more inflammatory tweets to get more eyes on her Xitter account. I mean, at this point I'd stop being civil with her because it's not getting through and it was a waste of my time personally. But as you know from the thumbnail of this video, she did end up actually blocking me in the end. So what did she block me over? And it turns out it was just one tweet that got me blocked by her, and it was in a completely separate thread that did it, where people were talking about how she used to be a decent person, she used to be a reasonable person, she used to be someone who even as late as 2021 wasn't being a piece of shit. And people were puzzled why she did this massive 180 into being a far-right bigot who farms hate click views and just straight up barely ever talks about video games or anime anymore, unless it's to complain about them being woke. And all I did was mention the fact that it sort of lines up with the fact that she recently got divorced, which is most likely the cause for her far-right political shift or ideological shift or whatever you want to call it, because she blocked me immediately after that tweet. So I guess she's really not that big a fan of free speech after all, and she goes just as hard on censorship on things she doesn't like as all the imaginary people she likes to complain about. And if I'm being honest, I think being that much of a hypocrite and just a hateful person must get exhausting day in and day out. So I wonder how much longer she's going to keep the act up. But that was just a brief video about my experiences with Melanie Mack. Feel free to comment below on your thoughts about this whole situation, what you think about her. If you did watch any of her content before, or if you ever heard of her before she went absolutely bonkers like this, or if you only know about her because of these inflammatory posts that she makes, hit me with a subscribe. I'm still growing this channel, and check out some of my other videos. I've done quite a few videos on this channel now that I'm quite happy with and I'd like to see more views on, and I think you'll enjoy them, so why not give them a look. On that note, I will see you in the next Sayonara.